Hey guys, my name is John Kim. I'm a licensed therapist and life coach, putting self-betterment into a shot glass. Because let's face it, who's got that much time these days? I come unpolished, unrehearsed, on purpose. If you're looking for more of a wine glass, you've come to the wrong place. It's 2:50 on a Tuesday afternoon, and I just texted my brother, "I love you." Um, Let me tell you a little bit about our relationship. So that behavior of texting him "I love you" out of the blue is not common. It's a little bit strange. So we're close because we choose to love each other, but we're not that close in the sense that we're very different people. Um, we grew up. He's 2 years older than me, so we kind of grew up with different crews. And 2 years is not a big gap when you're an adult, of course. But when you're kids, it's the difference between you know uh, it's 2 grades, so it's a difference between a scrub and a senior, or someone that's someone that does not want to hang out with his little brother. So we had our own batch of friends. We really weren't that close. Never really had any deep conversations. We just, we're just brothers, right? It's more of like by blood, and um, and then life happens. Meaning he went left because he's very logical. So he went picket fence. He got married early. He's got two beautiful kids, wife, that whole thing, and he got busy very fast. So he had corporate jobs, security, and of course, when you have children, everything changes. So then his life is about soccer games and all that stuff, and it's great. I went the other way. I went divorced, artist, therapist, blogger. My life and his life couldn't be more different, and because of that, we just don't get a lot of opportunity to hang out. And so he also lives about an hour away. And I know it doesn't sound that far, but when you live in Los Angeles, guys, you got to understand, an hour is like it's long distance. It's like the other side of the world, especially with traffic in LA. People in LA, we live in our own little bubbles, and that's what makes it work. If you start driving an hour and a half, it suddenly turns into two, and it's ridiculous. Just because of the congestion, the traffic, and all that stuff. So now we're in our 40s, and I'm trying to make a more effort um, to get to know him, and I really believe that it's never too late. And I don't know if you guys are listening and you have siblings or you have friends, you have people that you love and that you care about that have drifted, and you want to make more of an effort. I really believe in living like um, today could be your last day. And I gotta say, being a motorcycle enthusiast, I've gone down a couple times, and I've had moments where I've been hit. I mean, both times, look, I mean, I have angels looking out for me, but both times I've walked away from it without a scratch. But I've been hit, and easily I could have, either lost limbs or died. Um, but for whatever reason, they clipped the front of my tire, or something happened where I was able to walk away from it. Also, I have mad ninja skills, so there's that. No, just kidding. But anyway, but I've learned, and I think also with age that life is short, and um, there's just life is too short to be prideful. Life is too short to have ego. Life is too short to not be able to say "I love you." And I was raised in a family where, and this is a cultural thing. I mean, I know my parents love me, but they've never, they rarely said it. My dad would say it almost jokingly, and I think it was his way of being American. My mom rarely, and they're old school Korean, so they don't show emotion and affection. So growing up like that, it's very hard for me to say I love you. And I remember the first time. I mean, I could say I love you to a woman when I'm in love. That's very easy for me, but it was very hard for me to say I love you to a man. And I remember the first time that a man told me he loved me. He was my roommate, and we were just boys, and we were hanging out every day, and we were both going through expired relationships, and we got really close. He was also one of my first Asian friends because I grew up in a very predominantly white Caucasian. We were the only Asian, and this is the '80s too, guys. So that we were the only Asian family for like miles, right? So um, I just ended up growing up around a lot of Caucasian people, um, just non-Asians, right? Different Hispanic, whatever, Mexican, just a lot of not many Asians. And so he was one of my first Asian friends as an adult. I was already in my 30s. And we had just hung out. We became really close. And he was leaving. He was moving out, and he was moving to a different state. And we kind of did the whole bro hug, and he didn't let go. And it was really interesting because there was a side of me like, the machismo guy that's just like kind of wanted to push him away. It's like, man up, what are you doing? But he didn't let go, and then I felt him started to cry. And of course, that, like, I've never experienced that, and so, man, that was powerful. And then I kind of leaned into it, and then I I got emotional as well. Um, I'm not sure if I was crying, but I was right there, and he was crying. Um, and he said, "I love you." And I remember this, and I was like, "Wow, no guy has ever said I love you to me." And it changed everything. It made me realize that it's the redefinition of masculinity, and that it's needed. I felt, I mean, why can't two humans, whatever gender you are, say I love you to each other because they mean it? But the power of that, because, for me, it was the first time ever as an adult that another guy said that. And so um, the takeaway there was just like, I've been conditioned by society, by my definition of man, my ego, my pride, whatever created, whatever, the fence, right? Whatever dug the moat around my heart castle where I don't tell people I love them. And so recently, I've been trying to make a more of an effort, because we could go at any time, and to say I love you, you know. Um, and not love ya. That's easy. That's kind of a that's kind of like, you can say, "Hey man, love ya," like that's kind of and that's cool, whatever. But to actually say like, "Hey, listen, man, I love you." Men do not say that to each other, and I also, being someone who's writing about men and definitions of men, or redefining men and vulnerability. Well, fuck, I gotta start. I gotta, put my actions where my words are, right, and stand on that. So I've been leaning into my discomfort, and I've been trying to. So now I kind of say it once in a while to my guy friends, my boys. Um, it's interesting because we'll like work out and be meatheads and talk about, girls and like cars and whatever, like that kind of like quote unquote manly things. And then sometimes I'll give them a pat and bat and say I love you, and it's hard. It's hard. You're so vulnerable. It's because most of the times I won't get it back, and I know that I'm not getting it back because it's triggering for them, and it's making them feel weird and uncomfortable because they're not used to it. Because that's how I felt the first time. My friend Sam said "I love you" to me. I couldn't say it back, and it's not that I didn't mean it. I was so conditioned. I was so shocked. But it is powerful, and man, if we lived in a world where guys, and if you're a man, I encourage you to try this. It takes balls, I'll tell you. It takes putting down that shield of what you think it looks like to be a man. It takes pure vulnerability. But if we lived in a world where um, just people said "I love you" more, who aren't, lovers, who aren't husband wife, but just like, "I'm thinking about you and I love you. I care about you." It softens people, and it stretches our heart, and there's so much power in that. It humanizes people. And so 10 minutes to just remind you guys to tell people that you care about and love, that you love them. Not I love ya, but listen, hey, I love you. And here's the other thing, like, what's the negative in that? Like, what's the hurt? What's the risk? I'll tell you what the risk is. Your ego, and you maybe not getting it back. But if you really love someone, it shouldn't be conditional like that. It's your discomfort. It's your definitions. It's you feeling uneasy, right? So there's so much growth there, guys. If you're listening to this, tell other men in your life that you love them, and just, I mean, not only guys, but anyone listening to this, if you are not used to saying that, practice it. It will change you. Thanks for tuning in. I hope the dialogue was helpful. Listen, guys, if you want to be a life coach, just go to my website, theangrytherapist.com, and click on Life Coaching Training, and you'll find our Catalyst Intensive. There's only 2 things you need to be a life coach: a story, which everyone has, and a passion to help others.